Welcome to Lecture 6, Mistakes to Avoid when Creating Your Handbook. In this lecture, we will be reviewing the biggest mistakes companies need to avoid when creating the employee handbook. Here are some mistakes to avoid when creating your employee handbook. Poorly written handbooks can be a liability for an employer. Mistakes, misstatements, and ambiguity can come back to haunt a company when legal problems arise. Avoid adopting a cookie-cutter handbook from a template. Missing policies. Employees draft new policies when laws change or new situations arise in the workplace, but neglect to put them in the handbook. Omitting disclaimers. Disclaimers give the employer the right to change policies and lets employees know that the handbook is for informational purposes only. It is not to be construed as a contract of employment. Overly restrictive policies. The bottom line is you can't control your brand by prohibiting employees from saying negative things about your organization on social media. Not having an effective anti-harassment policy. The employee handbook should describe the procedures employees need to follow to report an incident of harassment, including the specific person to whom an employee should report the harassment. Having an overly restrictive disciplinary policy. The handbook should not include a rigid step disciplinary system from which the company cannot deviate. This can leave the company ill-equipped to handle serious incidents if it is the employee's first infraction. Disciplinary policy should always include the disclaimer that the company reserves the right to skip one or more steps as necessary depending on the severity of the infraction. Not making the handbook user-friendly. Keep your handbook concise, avoid legalese, and use an active voice to eliminate potential ambiguity. Failing to train. Don't assume that management will always act in accordance with the policies in the handbook. Make sure managers and supervisors receive regular training on handbook policies so that they are implemented correctly and effectively. Applying policies inconsistently. Inconsistent enforcement of policies can have a negative effect on organization morale. It can seem that some employees have to abide by the rules and some don't. Keeping legal out of the loop. Don't shut out your employment attorney. Laws and regulations can change, so make sure to have your legal counsel review the handbook on a periodic basis to keep it up to date. That concludes Lecture 6 in Module 3. Now we will move on to Module 4, where organizational overview will be discussed.